Imagine sitting in your car and this happens.
Oh my God!
Why are there so many electric cars blowing up in flames? Not only do they burst into flames, but why so randomly? Before we can answer these questions, let's ask ourselves, how many cars are active on the road right now? The stats say there are 16.5 million EV cars on the road right now. In contrast, there's 1.4 billion cars on the road are gas cars. So EVs haven't even scratched 2% of the total population. Now let's ask ourselves how many cars catch on fire. The U.S. Fire Administration, NFPA, says that on average, 117,370 vehicles catch fire every year from 2013 to 2017. If the trend stays constant, then a car catches on fire every 5 minutes. Their data doesn't categorize the types of cars that catch on fire. So the U.S. doesn't have any stats on EV fires. How could people be sure that EVs are safe to drive? There's a Swedish company that does just that, and I'm not going to bother to try to pronounce that name, but they keep track and categorize the cars. In total, there are 611,000 EVs on the Swedish road, while on the other hand, there are 4.4 million gas cars zooming away. On average, 3,400 cars catch on fire every year. 16 of those are EVs. For those that didn't pay attention in math class, that's a 1 to 1,300 chances of coming out like a rotisserie chicken. EVs have 99 problems, but catching on fire ain't one. You may ask yourself, will the number of EVs that catch on fire increase as the sale of EVs increases? According to Sweden, the answer is no. The MSB study found that after a rise in fires from 2019 to 2020, the rate is basically unchanged over the past 3 years, with 20 EV and hybrid fires in 2020, 24 fires in 2021, and 23 fires in 2022. In that same time period, the MSB reports the number of EVs in Sweden has more than doubled to nearly 601,000. Prior to 2020, fewer EVs and hybrids caught fire, with 8 in 2018 and 6 in 2019. So if all these numbers are saying that EVs are actually safer than gas-powered vehicles, why are they on the news and social media so often? Are they trying to scare you? I don't know, but what I do know is that EV is the new kid in town. Fresh meat, freshmen. EVs are disrupting the car industry right now. Any small changes echo loud out the cave. It's very entertaining. Also, another thing is EV fires are hard to put out. The fire department needs special training on how to put out the fires. What most firefighters do is attack the fire from the top, but not at the source of the battery, which is the bottom.
The educational campaigns for the fire service, the resource capabilities for the fire service, and then the funding for the education and the resource capabilities, none of that's intact yet.
Lithium-ion batteries experience what's called thermal runaway, a chemical process that isn't as easily extinguished as a gasoline fire, in part because it doesn't require oxygen. One thing they have to keep in mind is that the fire can reignite after being put out. One thing about EV fires is that the car doesn't blow up. So sometimes firefighters will just simply wait out the fire as long as no one or property is in danger. So we've answered our first question. Why are there so many electric cars blowing up in flames? The answer to the second question, why so randomly? The thing is, those fires are not random. For a fire to start, the battery compartment has to be compromised. That can happen in many ways. One example is the battery is punctured by a sharp object. Most Floridians destroy their EVs by driving them in deep water. To their understanding, since there's no engine, there's no harm. So once the car dries up, the salt content forms a bridge, allowing the electrons to meet their distant family, and then remembers that they hate each other. Then the car proceeds to catch on fire. This process can take weeks, so to the owner, that fire was random. Comment in the comments section below and tell me if I missed something. I'm sure I did.